Hello, welcome to PHS 2015 Appraisal Training. The purpose of today's training is to review how to use the 2015 appraisal forms, tips for writing appraisals, reviewer guidelines, corrective action plans, how to evaluate 90-day probationary employees, to review HRBP training dates, and to advise you of critical appraisal process dates. Start reviewing the appraisal process at the top where it outlines determining major job duties, and work your way around the circle. We will follow up with training for expectations in December and January as another webinar. There is a section for planning and drafting goals for 2016 on the appraisal form. However, it is important to define performance standards for each duty, document job performance, evaluate job performance, and hold ongoing performance discussions. Ideally, an employee should be aware of how they are doing throughout the evaluation period during the year, as there should be no surprises on an appraisal. In looking at the new evaluation form for 2015, which is available on Pioneer, so please make sure that you are using the new 2015 form and not a form that you may have saved on your desktop. The new 2015 form uses new scoring system with half-point indicators. And we opted to incorporate half-point indicators due to feedback that we received from last year. We are continuing to use a paper method for this review period, as our online system had some issues that we just couldn't work out for this cycle. You will find the same sections as last year. The employee appraisal form has 3 scored sections: primary job duties, dependability and communication, and customer service. And the leadership appraisal form also reviews management proficiency. The form also clarifies this year as to what should be reviewed, and it should be noted that the weight of the scores on this year's form are the same as the weight and scores on the 2014 appraisal form. This form also builds a bridge to our 2016 system. So taking a look at the scoring system, you will note that there is a 2.5 and a 3.5. And again, this was a change due to feedback that we received last year on the evaluation process. In looking at 2.5, you'll note that this section here indicates that an employee meets most expectations. More often than not, performance meets expectation, but there are some additional efforts that need to be made in order to meet all expectations. And then for 3.5, where it says it meets most where it exceeds most expectations, performance meets all expectations and exceeds most. More often than not, employee performance exceeds expectations. As you can see, a score of 4 in an area means that an employee exceeds all expectations, and that's a great score. Based on that, to get a 5, the employee should be demonstratively better in exceeding all expectations. This is not unattainable, but if you believe an employee meets this criteria, your description on the appraisal should clearly support that. And just to review 5, performance is superior and worthy of imitation. It is exceptional at all levels in all areas. It is even unusual or demanding situations. The work is still extraordinary and timely and exemplary. Ideas are frequently offered to improve unit work, provides assistance, superior assistance to supervisors and coworkers without request. And so this is a lofty ideal to attain. So it's very important that if you are contemplating ranking an employee a 5, that you provide sufficient detail and examples to support such a score. So moving on to taking a look at the 2015 Employee Appraisal Form. Section 1 remains primary job responsibilities. It's still 70% of the total score. It's important to remember to attach a job description or employee expectations indicating what the employee is being evaluated on for this review period. If either a job description or employee expectations form is not attached to your submitted appraisal for a specific employee, it will be returned. This section, the primary job responsibilities, this is the majority of the employee appraisal. It's weighted at 70%. Please ensure that sufficient comments and details are included to justify the score that you provide for this employee's performance for the year. Key issues to address. You want to review the employee's performance of major position expectations for the review period. You want to give examples of how an employee made or did not make specific deadlines. If there are tasks or metrics or projects where applicable, you want to include those here. Also review the employee's demonstrated skills and abilities in the performance of their duties, and review the employee's contribution to the performance of the unit or division as a whole. Again, I would like to stress the importance of attaching a job description if you don't have performance expectation goals for 2015. This was the most overlooked issue for last year. If you don't have goals, you need to attach the job description in order for the reviewers to see the job responsibilities and tasks. Then they will compare this to your appraisal summary. Section 2 is still dependability. It's worth 15% of the total score. This section reviews an employee's conduct regarding reliability and timeliness. So some of the key areas to address: review the employee's adherence to PHS policies, handbook, and supervisor instruction, the employee's specific adherence to attendance and leave policies, including timeliness of leave requests and efficient use of time while at work. Review the employee's contribution to unit or division operations, which may include flexibility in work assignments and shifts, involvement at staff meetings and trainings, or timeliness and follow-through on projects. Based on the results from last year, we just want to take a moment to emphasize that this section should review the overall dependability of the employee regarding their work assignments and contribution to the unit. This section should not just say that an employee adheres to leave policies. All 3 key areas need to be addressed, and not just those related to leave. Additionally, a note of caution in reviewing an employee's conduct regarding reliability and timeliness. You do not want to make any statements in the appraisal regarding protected leave usage. meaning FMLA or reasonable accommodation, as those are protected leave categories and should not be mentioned in an appraisal, even if the supervisor is trying to explain why an employee did not meet standards in a specific month, for example, because they were out of the office on protected leave. Section 3, communication and customer service, that is also 15% of the total score. This section addresses an employee's verbal and written communication skills to both internal and external customers and how it impacted the unit or division. Again, detail is key. You're going to want to provide sufficient detail to indicate the level of interaction expected from this position. You're going to review the employee's interaction and treatment of customers, coworkers, management, and specifically address whether the employee's behavior was courteous, transparent, and professional. You're going to review the employee's communication to coworkers and management of work-related information, including the ability to identify problems and seek solutions, and whether written and/or verbal interactions were clear, concise, and accurate. You're also going to want to take a look at the employee's interaction with you as the supervisor, including the ability to take direction and accept feedback in a positive and constructive manner, and show respect for differing ideas and contributing to a team environment. Again, based on last year's review, we just want to give a key reminder to provide specific examples in this area. It is not sufficient to say that an employee is always courteous. Try to explain what type of communication is a part of the employee's job and examples of how they earned the score that you are giving them. So sections 1, 2, and 3 that we reviewed are on the employee appraisal form. This fourth section here, the leadership is on the leadership appraisal form, and you'll see that the breakdown of the score, the weighted score, is a little different here. So the prime responsibilities are 50%, dependability 15%, communication and customer service 15%, and then there is the section for management proficiency, which is 20%. This ensures that a review of all job duties as well as specialized responsibilities as a PHS leader are factored in to the final score. So if you are writing an appraisal for a leader, then you're wanting to look at management proficiency. And in determining the score for management proficiency, you're going to want to review the supervisor or manager's handling of all personnel issues, including hiring qualified employees, giving clear staff expectations, providing effective training and oversight, and holding staff accountable to performance standards. You're also going to want to take a look at the employee's ability to develop and implement new projects, programs, or initiatives, including communicating clearly and delegating appropriately. Take a look at their communication and interaction with division or unit staff, ensuring new information was shared in a timely manner and decisions made at all levels of the organization were supported and staff was held accountable for compliance with PHS policies and guidelines. Consider the employee's ability to remain open-minded and solution-driven, how he or she operates within the budget provided and follows contract requirements if applicable, and if they are respectful of material and monetary resources. And again, for those in supervisory or management positions at PHS, how they run their units is an important part of the appraisal. This section should provide examples of how the employee earned their score for each of the key areas. Before writing employee appraisals, you should gather all applicable documents for each employee and review them. Some examples are your supervisory notes, the job description, if there are prior goals set, if not, past job descriptions, awards, discipline, and quarterly reviews if applicable. When drafting an appraisal, it's important that the appraisal is based on facts that occurred during this review period. Remember that the appraisal is only covering performance for 2015, so you should be specific about actions or projects that took place that contributed to the score, whether that is a positive impact or a negative notation in the appraisal. You're drafting these assessments based on facts, not opinions. The magic phrase is, for example. We encourage you to provide as many examples and information as possible to support the score that you're going to give the employee. And then you're also going to want to explain how the employee demonstrated each of the competencies. You're going to want to avoid the desire to be charitable. And if it's not written, it didn't happen. And remember, employees cannot improve if they don't know what's wrong. And again, avoid mentioning any protected actions in the appraisal. For example, if an employee used leave under the Family Medical Leave Act or pregnancy disability or otherwise took leave as a reasonable accommodation. It's important to avoid the halo effect. Even a great employee usually has room to grow. We encourage you to take your personal likes and dislikes for employees out of the equation and focus on the goals and outcomes for this review period. Don't be afraid to tell an employee that they need improvement where they need it. This is part of leadership and will help the employee succeed in the future. Again, avoid comments regarding protected actions such as FMLA or ADA issues. Additionally, it's important to note that using sick leave for sick child issues or having approved intermittent leave, etc., is a protected action and should not be noted in an evaluation as they are protected by federal, state, or local laws. In writing your evaluations as supervisors, it is a part of the job to create accurate and fair evaluations for your employees. Remember, this is a part of Section 4 in the Leadership Appraisal. Employees that are not performing up to standards or not meeting objectives or goals or not improving on their issues raised last year, these are the folks that you want to start with. As they will take some more time as you're building an evaluation to share with the employee as to what they need to do to meet standards. And frankly, they are and can be a little more difficult to write. So these are the folks we recommend that you start with. And then after you get those completed, the remainder of your direct reports, the ones that are meeting standards or exceeding standards, those are usually much easier to write. You want to take a look at vertical consistency, meaning you want to review past evaluations and comment on the same issues. For example, if an employee was struggling with getting to work on time in 2014, you definitely want to comment on that particular issue for this evaluation period in 2015. Did their attendance improve? You also want to take a look at horizontal consistency. So you're making sure that employees with similar performance issues receive similar performance comments. So if one employee has a problem with attendance, getting to work on time, and there's another employee that has problems with getting to work on time, then you want to make sure that there are similar performance comments. You can ask your assigned HRBP for copies of previous appraisals if needed. If your employee worked in another unit or position for a significant part of the year, please contact the former supervisor to include the employee's performance in their prior position. As PHS supervisors, you have the responsibility to treat your employees similarly in similar situations, and this includes ranking them for similar issues similarly, both good and areas where they need to improve. So who is the reviewer? The reviewer plays an essential role in the fairness of the process. And in the PHS system, direct supervisors draft evaluation, but the next level supervisor, the reviewer, has an important role to review the appraisal and ensure it is descriptive, accurate, and fair. Reviewers are responsible for ensuring fairness and consistency across their units as they review multiple supervisors' reviews. Their signature on the appraisal indicates they fully approve of the contents and the score. If they do not agree with the content or score, they should go back to the direct supervisor to discuss and request changes. PHS has also built in a VP review to ensure fairness across the division with the same responsibilities as the viewer. So we recommend prior to signing an appraisal, a reviewer should ensure there is a job description or expectations attached and review them. Critically review what the supervisor has written in comparison with other members of the unit. Compare what is written to your knowledge of the performance of the employee and consult with the supervisor if there are any concerns. Corrective action plans. This is the same as last year. Employees with a score of 2 or below in any section needs a corrective action plan, and it can just be one corrective action plan for an employee, even if they are scoring a 2 or below in more than one area. Please do not drag out corrective action plans. They need to be direct and concise. If the issue was addressed during the year through discipline, the CAP should simply note the action and correction and state you expect the improved performance or conduct to continue. Please make sure that you are seriously reviewing these plans on an interim basis with the employee up to the CAP completion. Don't sign off on an issue as being completed as satisfactory if it is not. In reviewing annual appraisals over multiple years, it is very common to see the same issues for improvement. This is not fair to the employee or PHS. If it is not corrected, you should consider disciplinary action during the year, not just a lower score at the end. And when documenting a corrective action plan, the corrective action plan must document poor performance, identify a plan for improvement, set a deadline less than 60 days, and your assigned HRBP will monitor for completion. If the employee has had a 2 in the same section last year, the appraisal should address efforts made to correct throughout the year. And then for probationary employees, we are still using the probationary evaluation form for grading for new employees hired on or after October 1st, 2015. Recommending continued employment, a 3. Recommending extended evaluation period is a 2. And recommending termination is a 1. This is the same as last year. So here are the critical dates for the evaluation period. The HRBPs provided live training between November 17th and December 2nd. Expectation training is coming. The supervisors are to draft their appraisals after receiving training, and they will have until January 31st, 2016. Please send your appraisals to your assigned reviewer if you have completed them early. The reviewers have 1 week to approve appraisals from February 1st to February 5th, 2016. This is a change. There's only 1 week this year. And then appraisals will be presented to employees between March 1st and March 11th of 2016. We have also included in the presentation some examples of commonly asked questions or statements in an evaluation. Example number 1, an employee did a good job on her desk manual and completed it in a timely manner. That first statement really does not provide a sufficient level of detail to justify a specific score on an appraisal. But you'll see here a better example. The employee's backup was able to successfully perform the duties of the position when the employee was out in August for 1 week, and stated it was due in large part to the thoroughness of the desk manual. Example 2. Other staff has mentioned employee does not write legibly in reports. Better example. I spoke with employee twice during this evaluation period regarding my expectation that reports be legible. The employee has made minimal improvement. This is the level of detail that we strongly encourage in appraisal evaluations. Example 3, employee meets attendance requirements. A better example, employee not only meets all attendance requirements for all shifts and meetings, but is also the most willing of all employees in the unit to volunteer to cover for others when necessary. It's a great level of detail here. Example number 4, if an employee worked for another supervisor, our goal is to be fair to that employee. The current supervisor should contact the previous supervisor to ask for input on how the employee performed by category. Consider this in your evaluation. The current supervisor is responsible for scoring. If the other supervisor, the prior supervisor, is not available, we do the very best we can under the circumstances. Thank you for viewing the PHS 2015 appraisal process training. If you have any questions after viewing this presentation, please feel free to contact your assigned HRBP for guidance or further questions. Thank you and have a great day.